It's June 5th, 2008. The sun shines over Harvard University as thousands of graduates gather for their commencement ceremony. Among them, a special guest steps to the podium, a woman who, just over a decade ago, was a struggling single mother, writing in cafes while her baby slept. Her name is J.K. Rowling, creator of the Harry Potter series, now a global phenomenon. Today, she'll share a speech titled "The Fringe Benefits of Failure and the Importance of Imagination." In 21 minutes, she'll inspire a generation with lessons from her own life. Let's dive in. Rowling begins with humor, breaking the ice. Delivering a commencement address is a great responsibility, she quips. Or so I thought until I cast my mind back to my own graduation. She recalls a speech at her own ceremony 21 years ago, a feminist address she barely remembers, except for the fact that she was hung over and terrified about her future. The crowd laughs, instantly at ease. She admits she has no idea what to say to these bright Harvard graduates. What can I possibly say to you that will be of use? She wonders aloud. She decides against the usual cliches. Life is not a checklist of achievements, she says. Instead, she chooses two themes close to her heart: the benefits of failure and the power of imagination. These aren't typical commencement topics, but Rowling knows they're what shaped her life. She sets the stage with a glimpse of her own journey. At 21, the age of many in her audience, she was obsessed with avoiding failure. "I had an old typewriter and a big idea," she says, referring to the early seeds of Harry Potter. But her path wasn't easy. Rowling's about to take us on a raw, honest ride through her darkest moments and the unexpected gifts they brought. Rowling dives into her first theme, failure. 7 years after my graduation, I had failed on an epic scale, she confesses. By her late 20s, she was a single mother, jobless, and as poor as it is possible to be in modern Britain without being homeless. Her marriage had collapsed. Her parents were worried, and she felt like the biggest failure she knew. But failure, she says, was a gift. Failure meant a stripping away of the inessential, she explains. She stopped pretending to be anything other than herself. She had no choice but to focus on what mattered most: her daughter, Jessica, and her writing. "I was set free because my greatest fear had been realized, and I was still alive." Rowling reflects on why failure is so feared. Society, she says, fetishizes success, grades, jobs, accolades. But failure taught her things success never could. You will never truly know yourself or the strength of your relationships until both have been tested by adversity, she tells the graduates. Failure gave her resilience, discipline, and an inner security she couldn't have gained any other way. She shares a powerful insight. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. The crowd is silent, absorbing the weight of her words. Rowling's failure wasn't the end. It was the foundation of her success. By 2008, Harry Potter has sold over 400 million copies, and she's one of the world's most beloved authors. But she never forgets where she started. Rowling moves to her second theme, imagination. As the creator of Hogwarts, she knows its power to build worlds. But she's not talking about magic here. Imagination is not only the uniquely human capacity to envision that which is not. She says it is the power that enables us to empathize with humans whose experiences we have never shared. She shares a story from her early 20s, working at Amnesty International in London. There, she researched human rights abuses, reading letters smuggled out of totalitarian regimes. "I read of torture, of cruelty, of lives destroyed," she says. She saw photos of people who had disappeared, their families begging for answers. Imagination, she realized, let her feel their pain, and that empathy changed her. Rowling challenges the graduates to use their privilege for good. "You have the power to imagine better," she says. She warns against indifference, quoting the Greek poet Aeschylus. Evil comes from the refusal to imagine the suffering of others. Her time at Amnesty taught her that empathy isn't just a feeling, it's a call to action. She ties this back to her own work. Harry Potter, she says, is filled with characters who choose empathy over apathy. Dumbledore, Hermione, even Harry himself. We do not need magic to change the world, Rowling declares. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. The power to imagine a better future and the courage to make it real. The crowd erupts in applause. Rowling closes with a call to action. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters, she says, quoting Seneca. She urges the graduates to embrace failure, to wield their imagination, and to touch lives for the better. If you choose to use your status and influence to raise your voice on behalf of those who have no voice, she says, then I predict you will not regret it. She ends with a nod to Harvard's motto, Veritas, truth. I wish you all very good lives, she says, stepping back as the crowd gives her a standing ovation. On that day in 2008, J.K. Rowling didn't just speak, she inspired. Her words on failure, imagination, and empathy remain a beacon for anyone facing life's uncertainties. This was a speech not just for Harvard, but for the world.